Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. I'm just checking myself because we have two keyboards, two mouses, and two mics directly in front of us, making sure I'm using the right ones.
Indeed, it takes a moment many times to make sure you're using the right one, but good day, everybody.
Yes, buenos dias. I hope everybody is doing well out there. And yesterday we did put up a video on Patreon. I was going to do multiple, but we just got so behind in trying to get plants into the ground that we focused on getting things into the ground. And so we have 32 plants in the ground, mostly fruit trees and bushes, and some things for privacy screening as the yard was kind of open in one section, and also for eventually creating a windbreak over there too.
Yeah, we need that. We need a windbreak from time to time around here.
Yeah, it can't get a little windy. Oh, that's an understatement. So this was the one we did up on Patreon, and it was stuff you just can't talk about on YT, because the algorithms will knock it right off and out. Imagine living through the last 3 years not being the slightest bit suspicious. I've been this way my entire life. Really since I was 5 years old. I've always knew there was so much more to the picture, and the puzzle pieces that they give us don't fit. They certainly don't. But at the same time, yeah, I think more and more people are waking up, but it's still, we need to wake up faster. I was just responding to some people that are either knowingly or unknowingly sowing the seeds of the program. And so, as much as I can with the time that we have, I try to put little things out there for those that won't find our channels and won't be exposed to maybe a different way of looking at things. And here you go. Islamic Jihad in Europe, clashes between police and pro-Palestinian immigrants in Berlin. At least 70 police officers were injured. 200 quote-unquote fanatics were arrested. Numerous vehicles burned. Molotov cocktails thrown. Various destructions. They don't want peace. They want chaos in the heart of Western Europe. This madness must be stopped now. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be able to be stopped. I think it's just getting started, unfortunately. And this is because, again, we don't have enough people aware of what the real program and paradigm is. We still have far too many people that don't understand that they are thinking in the box that's been constructed for them.
They're just so good at doing that, but we're at a time now where things are coming to the forefront, and I don't think people can really ignore it for that long. People are going to turn to their belief system. It's very, very, very important to them, but when it's a belief system that sends people down the path to destruction, that's where, if you have any kind of a platform, or if you have people you could talk to, share these videos or help people understand that this is the control structure. It's not when we look at the Bible, people always talk about a all-loving God, but then you go look in the Bible and you can see that that's not the case. It's more like an alien from another place that is a complete control freak and is doing what he can to get humans to tattle on themselves and control the narrative 100% through other human faces.
Yeah, I think I did a video once talking about how the entire world has Stockholm syndrome. It really does. It's a narcissistic, abusive relationship that goes on between the power structure, the real power structure, and all those on the planet. And so, this has been premeditated for a very, very long time. And again, they even give us these clues. We've talked about how in different ages, humans live much, much longer. So when you do see those biblical ages of like 969 years from Methuselah, they weren't really kidding. Again, we've covered this one Chinese gentleman who was called Li the Immortal, and he lived 256 years. It was documented by the Chinese government. They kept sending him, happy 100th birthday, happy 150th birthday, happy 200th birthday, happy 250th birthday. Now, he met a man that he said lived 800 years, interestingly enough. And, I would have doubted all these things myself earlier on, but I don't doubt it now. When you see the king's list, since the Sumerian king's list, yes, some of those beings are non-terrestrial. And just to distinguish, somebody asked the question, interdimensional and extraterrestrial, what do you mean? Well, extraterrestrial just not originally from Earth, which in some ways, humans are extraterrestrials because we're from many different places. This is part of the reveal, and this is one of the things that always stuck out in my mind, and I didn't know why it stuck out in my mind when I would be just a kid reading almanacs for fun at like 10 years old and studying maps showing tribal migrations. Why did this interest me so much? Well, again, it's part of our history. Earth is a refugee planet. And the planet itself is a refugee in so many ways, because the bigger war had destroyed Tiamat, as we were speaking about. Tiamat was the original planet. It was between Mars and Jupiter. It was damaged in this war by the dark control system that now is controlling this planet. And it was brought back to a habitable state of being by very, very advanced intelligences. And Earth moved to its current position because its landmass is only 65% of what it was. So it had to go to a different position in order to basically be able to support life. And so this control system that truly is waging the war on humanity, or getting humans to wage a war on themselves for the control system, it is so anti-life, it is so evil, it is so dark, and it manufactures all sorts of death, destruction, chaos, anger, hatred, every sort of what we would term a negative emotion. It gets us to do the dirty work for it. And it literally gets us to pay for it too, because of the monetary system. Talk about insanity. As you look at clashes in London between pro-Palestine protesters and English police, over 100,000 people, they say, were in the streets in London. This is completely manufactured. Why do you have this happening now? Why now? Well, the reality is, again, there's treaties that humanity is totally unaware of a galactic nature that come due in 2025. And also there are bigger timelines where the control system understands they are going to be losing control to an awakening humanity unless they could stop the awakening. As people are rising up, if we weren't looking at all this, if you are living out in the middle of nowhere and you are totally self-sufficient, you probably, if you're not basically getting blasted with certain frequencies, as we look at New York here, this is Brooklyn in New York, you would probably be noticing that everything seems to be getting better. Your abilities to in tune with nature and to literally communicate to animals are increasing. Your ability to sense things that normally you might not be able to sense is dramatically increasing. This is why they get us to do this to ourselves time and time again when we go into these dark ages. And so the control system is absolutely using a scorched earth policy, so to speak. And here in Brooklyn, large pro-Palestinian march. Thousands of protesters marched for Free Palestine protest. 17 had been arrested at this point in time. Yeah, this is just starting to get hot. And here you have somebody talking about global jihad. Yeah, again, we understand the bigger picture as Albert Pike, famous 33rd degree Mason, also Confederate general. He wrote a book explaining a lot of things. Morals and dogma. Oh, what type of morals and dogma is really behind this world system? And obviously, I know you guys got the answer to that one. It's not anything very, very high as far as the frequencies, that's for sure. But he said, the last World War, the Third World War, will be about Islam and Christianity with Judaism destroying themselves. And this is what they are bringing about. As China deploys 6 warships to the Middle East over fears Israel crisis could spark World War III. Multiple sources talking about this. 44th Naval Escort Task Force. So this is significant, absolutely significant, as China moves to support Russia, really, and their allies in what's going to become World War III, unless there is a massive awakening. We mean a massive awakening here. And here you see citing escalating Iran threats, Pentagon sends second carrier, which we know about, which I'll look forward to seeing where they show tomorrow in the U.S. Navy News. It should be probably close to halfway, a third to halfway into the Mediterranean at this point. I would think it probably would be getting into its position in a couple more days. Again, these aircraft carriers have tremendous firepower, but they're also tremendous sitting ducks with today's technology, as they could be swarmed by drone systems. Just swarmed by drone systems in such high numbers. If you guys remember anything from World War II with Japanese kamikaze pilots, when they couldn't keep up with producing the weapons of war, and literally they would be running out of bombs, and the pilots would make themselves be bombs and try to ram straight into the ship, killing themselves but trying to take out the enemy. This is in my mind, you're looking at the definition of insanity when you recognize that the wars are always orchestrated just to bring about death and destruction.
I feel so bad for the people that are directly involved, because they're doing it and they're believing that they're doing the best thing for their country, for their people. They're fighting for freedom. And then there's some that are in there that feel just the opposite. They know deep down something is very, very, very wrong with this picture. Too many people right now are waking up and they're feeling the energies of other people and not really knowing what's going on, feeling their moods go up and down and ebb and flow. And you have to have time to stop and realize, which emotions are mine and which emotions are theirs, because we're all very much a mirror of each other. So you might be feeling this emotion like rage or anger or jealousy or sadness. And there's not much of a reason for it, but guess what? The guy next door is probably feeling it, and you're feeling what he's feeling. So the brain is very frantically trying to figure out, okay, there's got to be a reason for this emotion, because it doesn't make any sense. Well, our guys out here they're humans too. They're going through the same thing, and we have to remember that and recognize that. Somehow we all have to move beyond that. We have to find that understanding inside of our souls and do what's right, regardless of what the control system is putting in front of us. That's a big feat, but we wouldn't be here if we didn't have the capacity to do it. And you look at so many people, they're in these riots, and they're so very angry, and they're so asleep as well. You can't just walk up to someone in a police uniform and tell them, okay, well, this is what's going on. You've been controlled since you were born, and now you're fighting to uphold a structure that's just subduing you and your family even more. They're just going to look at you and go find more coffee or have a donut, and they're not going to think even twice about it, because they're that involved in doing their job. And of course, they also have bills to pay. They have children to feed. So why wouldn't they just keep their feet firmly planted in a place where they're going to continue to make money? I mean, we're up against a lot, but that's not to say we can't turn it around.
So not only are they sending this other carrier strike group, they're sending a lot more equipment over there, including the THAAD system, Terminal High Altitude Area Defense Missile Systems, as well as Patriot missile systems. So there's a big uptick going on. And yeah, we are very, very close to the kickstart of the true war in an obvious manner. Or Israel is vowing to cut the head off the head of the snake and launch a military attack against Iran if Hezbollah joins the war with Hamas. There's already been, all sorts of bombings. There's bombings in Syria. There's bombings in Lebanon. This by Israel. There was reports of bombings by Israel into Egypt to take out humanitarian aid that was going up to the border. So, yeah, absolutely. It's already expanding and going on. And the U.S. is warning Israel that you don't want to have a two-front war and draw Iran in. But see, I mean, the bigger picture that everybody has to realize, this is global jihad. And this is, again, when you look to, it shouldn't really, and you will have apologists for the Bible and the Quran that will say, no, they're both peaceful books, but at the same time, when you end the Bible with, now go out and tell everybody in the world about the good news, you're urging them to again convert people to your line of thinking, or this particular line of thinking. And when the Quran again is speaking about conversion and holy war, again, there is no holy war. That's the thing. There is no holy war. The closest thing we could say is a holy war is the struggle against the dark control system, because the dark control system is something that is so destructive and horrible. And again, this is truly a galactic war. So, these forces are just trying to get us again to stay in their frequency is really what they're trying to do. So you will have people that will say, then why are you covering all this? Because we're trying to awaken those that are still, asleep and still ready to go and just go ahead, jump in, take a side, and create chaos. We don't want people feeding the problem. It's only through the awakening of the problem, the real problem, the fact that, again, the view is, there's no God but Allah. There's no God but Jehovah, Yahweh. And, again, the realization that, Allah really is coming from Elohim, and, Yahweh is again one entity, definitely not source, not even close to source in energy and frequency, not the creator of this universe at all. And again, you go back to the oldest references we have about Yahweh, and it paints a very curious picture, to say the least. But yet there is a source of all things, and there is a benevolent creator of this universe. So, there is the rub, so to speak, absolutely. But the creator of this universe and the source of all things would not be pushing jihad, and wouldn't view any war as a holy war. Wouldn't be saying, onward now, Christian soldiers, as that is truly an oxymoron if you're really looking at the teachings of Yeshua. But again, you have to realize all the teachings of Yeshua that we have right now, you can't really trust any of them. How could you possibly trust them? Because again, we're getting them from the control system. Here you see Israel says it found Hamas files with instructions for making cyanide-based weapons. So, we will see all sorts of warfare, biological, chemical too, as well as conventional, and then energy weapons like we haven't seen. Well, we might have in some cases when we think to what we saw over in Hawaii. Loud explosion heard in Jizin, southern Lebanon. Israeli drone attack. Very serious escalation. Yeah, this is a sad situation that the world is facing. And this Jewish community leader who helped lead top Detroit synagogue was found stabbed to death outside her home. And she was 40 again. This is Detroit, Michigan. So you have all this going on. It's getting much more dangerous out there, much more chaotic. And you have rumors that the crew on board the USS Gerald R. Ford was served steak and lobster, which usually is either just in the holidays or before deployment. So, again, all the signs are there that the escalation is at hand. And many people don't realize that there's more than one HAARP facility. This is in Peru. And, yes, there is one in Alaska, but there's also HAARP in Australia, England, Japan, and Antarctica. So every time we see, people pushing the programming and talking about, wow, all those Cuban carbon emissions, just look at these. This is how the quote-unquote gods control the weather. It's through technology. That's the big awakening. As Death Valley gets some blooms and color, but we have seen the desert, and we did live in this area, bloom at different times, and Cindy spent many, many years in the desert.
Oh, loads of fun in the desert. It's a place that definitely can give you a bit of a culture shock, but the desert taught me a lot of things. It taught me how to appreciate things and find the beauty. The beauty is in everything. It's definitely there. You might look, across a landscape of what seems to be just dirt, but when you really look closer, you look at the beautiful colors that are in that sand. I mean, it's like one giant sand sculpture. It's beautiful. And then all the multi-layers of rock that go on and all the different beautiful flowers that do come up in spring. So there's beauty in everything. Even this whole situation that we are up against, that we find ourselves involved in, there's silver lining there. There's silver lining in every single situation. Just because you don't see it right away doesn't mean it's not there. It's definitely there. Just like this little guy, these little puppies, our pets, they bring us peace and they bring us joy and they bring us love. And sometimes we might just need to take a break from the news and hug your pet, hug your kids, find something to appreciate, make that gratitude list. And when times get tough, you go over that gratitude list and you find something to be happy about. Life is always going to be full of ups and downs, and it's up to us to find those things that help pull us up out of those downs.
Absolutely. So they're looking for suggestions for names for this little guy. He reminded me, for those that are old enough to remember, of Groucho Marx with that little painted mustache on there. What an adorable little guy he is. Again, think about the love that comes from your pets. It's just wonderful. And, here you have a snow leopard mom pretending to be scared by her little one that's training. Ah, you got me. Again, if we think that animals don't have that much intelligence, that they don't have a soul, that they don't have emotions, that they can't be playful, boy, we are missing the boat. Again, that's another thing that we've gotten from the control system is a lack of appreciation for everything that's natural. Because the control system is literally jealous of the natural order of things.
Indeed, most definitely. And this mama is having fun with her baby, and that's what we all should do on a certain level. Just find something to have fun. Play with our critters, play with our kids, enjoy life. When tough times come, remember you have all those memories.
So what's our purpose? It's really to just simply be us. As Eckhart Tolle, why am I here? He's done this. What is my purpose? And it simply is just to be in the now and just to be here and be you. Just be you. Whatever that looks like, be creative. have fun, play. It's understandable that in these times, again, what they're trying to do is to drag us down to where they reside, which literally is kind of in the pits of hell when you get down to it, because they love this frequency of death and destruction and of chaos. Again, we can rise above the natural order of things, so to speak, will be restored as we go out of this dark space. As Peter Dunlove said, we have been passing through a zone of chaos. And when you think about our sun is a star, and it's traveling, and we're all traveling with it. And it's going through this big orbit. And when we go through this zone, we are hitting energies that are very low in frequency. And these energies are very, very dark. And now we are actually leaving that zone. So we're leaving their control. And this is why they're doing everything they can to try to grab as many souls as they can to keep with them, in that low frequency. They don't want you escaping the quote-unquote hellish realms of the lower astral realm, which is all that they are basically resigned to, because they are locked in place. They are stuck, and they want us to be stuck with them. So do not give in. Keep sharing with others. Keep awakening others. Spread the light. Share your love. Recognize, there is a benevolent creator, but you're certainly not going to find it in any sort of divisive, jealous, angry place.
Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.